You know, in the past, I've said that the MPAA needs to go. There's too much labeling of TV shows, movies, um, video games, music. It's too extensive. And now there are others that want to add more labels to it and to remove, and then there are those who want to remove some labels. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Thank you for tuning in. If you didn't catch my other video, I've been under the weather a bit for about 2 weeks. I'm just coming out of it, so my voice is a little off. I'm on Robitussin and all that, getting that chest cleared up. It's not COVID, so don't worry. And thanks to those who the well wishes in the comments line. In past videos, I have said many times that basically there are too many labels on movies and TV series and video games. You know, I'm getting really tired of this. And the thing is that they just want to label everything. If it has to deal with smoking, they got to put a label on it. If they're drinking, they have to have a label on it. If there's sex, if there's this, there's that. You know, very soon, a label on a movie will be 2 pages long for everything that basically a small group of people disagree on. Now they want to add another label to this, and this is a non-profit group out of Australia. And of course, it's Australia as usual. I'm sorry, my viewers in Australia, but you got some crazy people out there that need to have a drink. You know, and maybe some sex, because basically they're probably getting a lack of because of what they've been doing. And this is out of the New York Post. Nonprofit wants lack of consent label on movies and TVs with objectionable sex scenes.
Hold it! What the hell is that shit?
Yeah, really. I mean, now they want to add a label that just literally, if the person kisses the girl without permission, you got to have a label on it. I mean, let's read a little bit into this out of the New York Post. A nonprofit focused on changing the conversation around sexual consent is calling for a new film and TV lack of consent classification to better educate Australians on the topic.
That is one big pile of shit.
The idea for a new classification sparked when Consent Labs conducted a study of 1,000 Aussies between 18 and 44 years of age that showed participants intimate scenes from movies and shows and asked them to classify what they saw. Over 57%, half of the participants weren't able to decipher which scenes did or did not have non-consensual acts. Depends on what they showed them, really. Our research shows that despite Australians having the best intentions to either teach or learn about consent, such as in the schools or as parents, we are still seeing it being defined incorrectly, said Consent Labs CEO, co-founder, and executive director Angelique Wan. While adding a classification to content may be seen as simple, it is a powerful addition and can be used as an education tool. From scenes in children's films where women are kissed while they sleep, to rom-coms where men are tied to the bed and struggle is played for laughs, or scenes that are depicted as romantic even though the person says no and again and again. See, they always go back to the storytelling. You know, you can't have the Sleeping Beauty kiss, you can't have the Snow White kiss without consent. They're poison, they're in a curse. You can't ask them if they're not going to be awake to do it. It is a story. It is part of the story. Let's read on a little bit. While some shows depict very obvious sexual violence, plenty of modern film and TV scenes have hit cultural conversations without people being able to come to a conclusion around it. The sex scene between Daphne and her Duke in Bridgerton is a great example. The Duke says no, and Daphne continued. What's that have to do with it? There's an outcry, but many still debate what the scene depicted. Another example is The Devil Wears Prada, where main character Andy is drunk in Paris and says no to the advances of a love interest, Christian Tomlinson, several times, once even saying that she was too drunk to make the decision. He persists and eventually gets his way. When the movie first came out, no one battled an eyelid because it's part of the story. It's part of the fucking story. See, the thing is, they want to remove these situations. They just, this is what we've talked about, the new Puritans. Is it something that, is going to be agreeable with everybody? No! Don't go fucking see it. This is people that they're making these decisions for people, and there are other decisions they don't want. Let's finish this off. While, like most classifications, a new lack of consent label will be a warning audiences about content that they're about to see would be unique in that they would also act as an educational tool, tipping viewers off about what they're about to see is not acceptable consensual sexual interaction. The power is in knowing what you're watching, Consent Labs founder, executive Joyce Yu. That's why we classify coarse language, nudity, and drug use, and that's why we classify the lack of consent.
That is one big pile of shit.
See, the thing is, we can't be adults anymore. This is what these people think, you won't understand it. I'm not there to understand, to get an education. I'm there to be entertained. I'm watching a story that I don't need to have a discussion. If I'm taking a course in college on it, that's a different story. When it comes to consent and non-consent, that is growing up with the parents, and that's their job, not your job to educate the people. If the parents don't want to educate, that is their situation, and they're going to have to deal with the consequences down the line. And the thing about it is, this is not the only thing, the situation that they want to throw labels on here. Also, there are certain labels they don't want. If you haven't seen the story about the Jeffrey Dahmer series that's running on Netflix, there was a controversy behind that because it was titled as an LGBTQ. And certain people said, why was it labeled as an LGBTQ? Well, I guess you don't understand what the series is about or the actual story, that it was a serial killer who killed gay people, who was gay himself, who killed and devoured people that he murdered. It is a story in the LGBTQ community. See, this is what they get. There are certain subject matters that they want to put labels on, and other subject matters they do not want you to know about. If it doesn't bring a good light to the situation, they don't want it labeled that way. This is the stupidity of what's going on. And this is one of the main reasons why in this country I asking for the MPAA to be abolished. They're just another part of the Hays Code. The Hays Code just literally reverted into the MPAA, and then the MPAA got perverted onto the situation and created a Hays Code 2.0. You're seeing this across the board. Look at all the stupidity that is going on movies and TV series. Look what they've done to the superhero. Look what they've done to the science fiction series. Look what they've done to romances and comedies. And I tell people out there, don't be afraid to create the next Blazing Saddles. Don't be afraid to create the next Star Trek or the next Babylon 5. Don't be afraid to create these stories. because the people who originally created it weren't afraid to create them the first time around. That's why I always keep saying 70s to 90s was a great time for entertainment because the restrictions were off. And the thing about it is, think about this for a second. Put this in your mind. Who is still complaining about this a lot of the times? And I'm talking here in the United States. If you haven't figured it out, you know, when you go to the ballot office this November, the people that the names are on there are the same ones that have been fighting for this ever since, for decades. That they fought against for music labels and video game labels and more labels on movies and TV series. Oh, they're smoking. Who cares if they're smoking there? You don't need a label for that. If the parents want to tell their kid, don't smoke, you know, smoking is bad for you, that's their job. That's what's being a parent. You have responsibility to your child. Government and agencies need to stay out of the entertainment business. It is not their job to basically control what is on that screen. And I said this before, they're going to come after the pornography first, and then they're going to go across the board. They're going to go backwards onto there. They'll come after your action films. Yes, they will come after your action films. I mean, they've already done it. They've already done it. If you see, when was the last really true action film beyond Top Gun that you've really seen on there? Throw in the comments line below. And I'm talking really good, major blockbuster, not Endgame, not any of this other crap that's been put out. We're talking really, really good. And you're going to go back a bit. You're going to really go back a bit. And it's a shame. You know, like I said, 70s to 90s was a great time. We had some great action flicks. We had some great horror. We had some great romances. Now they're like, wow, we can't have this. You know, let us in and we'll fix it. It's the same way with a painting. And I always keep bringing this up. You look at a painting on a wall in a museum. If someone doesn't like it, they're going to go up and paint it black. They said, no one should see this. That's an erasure. That's erasing history. Whether it's entertainment or historical facts, you know, we've already seen what they did with the Woman King. How much of a lie that was. How much that they basically changed the story, revisioned the history to try to make this tribe the good guys in it when they were actually the bad guys. They were the Nazis in that time period. They collected people, sold them as slaves. Some of them they murdered, they sacrificed or devoured. These are the stories they're putting out. Revisionists changing things around. They say, well, we can't have this violence, but violence is out there. Has nothing to do with the movies. It's part of the stories on there. Good versus bad, bad versus good. That's the stories you're teaching out there. And parents are supposed to educate what is good and what is bad to the child. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing to kids' cartoons. They're not fun anymore. Everything has some sort of political agenda behind it. But kids don't understand that. They want to have fun. Let them have fun. They're taking away all the fun away from children. You know, have you guys seen the movie Equilibrium? Look at how the children are there. They're just mindless slaves to the rhythm. They don't play. They just work, work, work. That's it. And this is what they want to do. This is the control that they want to do. That's why we need to stand up and create our own programming. It's one of the reasons why Q2Cast TV is here. We've been doing this a long time. We've been doing this since the 80s. We wanted to create our own programming, our own shows, the way we wanted to do. Some of us are still doing it to this day. With YouTube now, it makes it further, and the other places, and Odyssey and BitChute and all that, and we have our fans there. So in the comments below, let me know how you're feeling about this. Let me know your thoughts, what you think of the whole situation. And if you agree or disagree that basically a rating system like this, it should be only left to G, PG, and R. That's all, plain and simple. How much more are they using the NC-17 system? Think about that for a minute. How many more things that they've thrown NC-17? Just because of sex, because of violence, because of smoking. Think about why they did it. So subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.